recently launched the challenge of CSSing this thing you see in the first image right here, using a paragraph element for each item. No children are allowed, though pseudo elements can be used. Also, no SVG and no JS. To start it off, I have some starter code right here. Let's see the compiled HTML first. So I have a style element where I can add custom properties. There's a heading, and then there are the 3 paragraphs. Now let's go back to the uncompiled view for a little bit. So what I start with is an array where I have info about my paragraphs. So I have this sort of color scheme. As you can see, it's a list of colors. Then I have the paragraph text, and then I have an icon. Now let me show you what each of these is used for. So that list of colors is actually the list of color stops that generates this neon, I don't know, gradient, if you can call it neon or something. So the red one here, the whatever color this is here, and whatever color this is here. Then the paragraph text that you can see right here, and then those icons. So yeah, what I'll be doing here is adding the number of paragraphs as a custom property. So add this on the root, which is the HTML element. It doesn't matter if I write it as root or as HTML. The difference is in specificity, but right here it doesn't matter at all. So now let's move on to the styling. And the first thing we do here is layout. So body, display flex, flex wrap. Now that I've done this, let's move the heading below the paragraphs. So we do this with the order property. So order, and we set this to the number of paragraphs. And it should now be after our paragraphs. Okay, so having done this, let's move on to the paragraphs themselves. And here we have, let's say, a max width. This is going to be just a dummy value. We won't be using it to the end, but just for now. Now let's add the hearts, and we do this with a pseudo element. Content. We use the attribute here. Okay, so I don't know if you've seen, but I've used that icon property to create this attribute right here. And that list of colors, I transformed it into a list of custom properties. Okay, so now that I've cleared this, let's continue with the styling. And the next thing that we'll do is we don't want those hearts to be positioned at the end of the text. So let's absolutely position our pseudo elements. And before we do that, we have position relative on the paragraph. And because we'll want the before to be absolutely positioned as well, we group the common styles. So before and after. Okay, so we have position absolute, and also set top 0 and left 0. Now, having done this, moves it to the top left corner. And you may be seeing a problem, but if it's not that obvious, let's set font size to ends. Actually, let's increase the base. Let's make this. Make it depend on the viewport. Let's fix the line height to something. I think this looks pretty good as a line height, so I'll just be leaving it at this. Okay, so this should do it for now. Let's make it a bit more obvious. Make the whole problem a bit more obvious by adding a background here. This is going to be a linear gradient. So linear gradient, it goes from left to right, so that's 90 degrees. We add those stops. Actually, it's even more obvious if we add a base width, and this is going to depend on the base font, the one that we set on the HTML. The base height, that depends on the base width. So it's going to be bigger because we want those things to be taller. Okay, so let's set them. So my width is the base width, and the height is the base height. Now you can clearly see the problem. The text is underneath my after pseudo element. So in order to fix this, we set z index -1. And this fixes it. Now let's move the heart where we want it. So let's set display flex, align items flex end, justify content flex end, and this moves it in the corner. Now something else I want to do here is set a rounding radius. This is going to be a fraction of the base width. Okay, so having done this, let's set the border radius. Actually, this is going to be another one that's common, so let's set it here. Okay, so now that I've set it, I want a bit of a padding, so let's think. Something like this. I think this should work, so let's add it here. Okay, and this increased the size of our after, so box sizing, border box. And we'll be using the same for our actual paragraph, so let's set it here as well. Now I think I can collapse this common part because I don't think I'll be adding anything else there. Now having done this, I want to cut a byte out of this thing, and I'll be doing it with a mask. So actually, let me show you why I'm using a custom property here. First off, let's say I'd be using a CSS variable. This is going to be a radial gradient, transparent, red. Okay, having done this, I set here mask. And since WebKit browsers still need a prefix, it doesn't matter if this prefix is added with something like auto prefix, or it doesn't matter. If I use a CSS variable here, then let me show you the compiled CSS. So in the compiled CSS, I'll have this radial gradient, this whole thing, I'll have it repeated in the compiled CSS. And I don't want that, which is why I use a custom property. So take this thing right here, use it as a mask. Okay, now the thing is, why you didn't see anything, because it doesn't look like anything got masked. But if I set a background, now you'll see how it gets masked from there. And if I set something like a byte radius, let's say bigger than half the base width, now this byte radius, let's see, the red is going to be 0, and this is going to be a circle. Okay, so we can actually see this. Now let's just copy paste this for the custom property. Okay, let's uncomment this and replace right here. So now it didn't work because I need to interpolate this. That's why it didn't. Okay, now it works. And now let's look a bit at the compiled CSS. So in the compiled CSS, I have this radial gradient just once, and here I have the custom property. so I don't have repetition. That's the whole point of using a custom property there. Okay, now let's refine this a bit. So it's going to be circle at 100%, and vertically I'll have a byte offset, byte y, and this is going to be the byte radius plus a bit more than the rounding radius. So let's say 1.5. Okay. So having done this, I need to interpolate it. Y, sorry. Okay, now it's positioned where I want it to be positioned. Now the background, I don't want it to be exactly black, so let's fix that. Like this. Okay, this looks better. Now I have this base padding, and I'll be using it on my actual paragraph. I don't think I'll be needing to do anything else, except let's just set opacity 0.2 on the after. Let's collapse this. Let's collapse this as well. And now on my actual paragraph, I'll be setting padding. And I have 4 values here. So it's going to be top, right, bottom, and left. So here, let's see. First for the left, I'll have the base padding. For this one, I'll be having the byte offset, the byte offset plus the byte radius plus the base pattern. So yeah, we now have this nice positioning there, as you can see. Let's also set text indent 1M. Okay, and it starts a bit from there. Now that I've done this, let's handle the before pseudo element. So the before pseudo element, this is going to use a counter. So content counter. Now we need to set here counter increment, and we should see it. As you can see, that's the text right there. Let's increase the font size. So let's actually set a font. Make it depend on the base width. Now that I've done this, let's make it bigger. Okay, let's do the line height, and this line height is going to be twice the byte offset. Okay, now let's also set a text indent. And we'll be leaving it at this for now. Okay, so now that I've done this, let's think about something else, about this before, setting a background on it. So, background is going to be a linear gradient. Yeah, not what I meant to click. It goes left to right, so that's 90 degrees. And we use those custom properties. So just copy paste this. Okay, now let's change these values. Okay, and we want to have a sudden change in the middle. Let me show you. So here I have a sudden change in the middle, and here I have a sudden change in the middle. So let's do that. That's going to be 50% and 0 here. And I want to have a bit of a highlight more towards the edge. So let's say 85% there. And here for the background, again, I'll be having a sudden change, 50% and 0. Let's comment this for a bit to make it more clear. Okay, for some reason the before shows up above, so I'm not entirely sure. Oh, okay, it's not the before. I was supposed to set this on the before. That's why I messed up. Okay, so this looks as it should right now. That's good. Okay, so now that I've done this, I'll be setting something like an inner offset. So my inner offset something like this. Okay, so this is going to be my inner offset, and I'll be having a back width, and this is the base width minus twice the inner offset. Okay, so the same thing can be done for the height. And I don't know if this is useful for anything. Okay, and this is going to be the height, obviously. So now what I'll be doing here on the before, let's collapse this as well. Set the width to the back width, the height to the back height. Okay, now that I've done this, let's just copy paste this. So for the top, be having the back and here the same. For the left. Okay, something doesn't look quite right for some reason. So I need to have the inner offset. They're equal, but it's not the same meaning. Okay, so this should have worked. And it did, except let's make this content box. Okay, now it's really looking like something. Good. Now the next thing that I want is get an actual width for my whole paragraph thing. So let's take care of that. So my full width is the base width minus the rounding radius plus and here I'll be wanting to compute a few more things before anything else. So here I'll have a shadow tangent, and this is the base width over the base height. I'll have a shadow angle, and this is okay. Something else I want to do here before using trigonometric functions is import compass, because otherwise this stuff is not going to work. Okay, so here I have arctangent of my shadow tangent, and this returns a radian value, so 180 degrees over pi. So now that I've done this, I can compute offset x, and this offset is going to be times sine this shadow angle. Okay, and the same what's wrong? Oh, okay, I got it now. Compass doesn't like using custom properties, so I just make sure this isn't recognized. Where else? Do I have anything else? We'll see soon. So if I have another error after I change stuff, yeah, I still do. Okay, let's make everything just okay. Yeah, this is a compass issue. So I also want to have an outer offset, and this is going to be close to the base width, but not quite. And this is going to be the shadow tangent times the horizontal offset. Okay, so having done this, here I'll be adding the inner one, so offset, and the outer one. So for the other dimension, it's going to be pretty much the same. Okay, along the second axis. Okay, now I've done this as well. So now let's set these dimensions. So width let's also set something else here, just to make sure here. And for the last one, margin right. So this margin right, let's see, what is this going to be? I can just this is a rough thing to do. Let's also set overflow x hidden. And let's put everything in the middle, actually. Make this full height. So height, make it cover the viewport. Get rid of the horizontal scroll bar. Okay, something else I want to do here is color, make it white. Text transform uppercase. Okay, now I've done this as well. So that's not quite. Let's set base margin, something. More like full margin. So this is going to be the outer thing plus okay, and I need to subtract the rounding. So I think that should do it. So I think this does a better job, and yeah, now they're perfectly centered. So now that I've done this, this goes right to the edge, and then from the edge I'll have a padding. So in this case, my right padding is going to be so yeah, this does it, as you can see there. That's good. Now that I've done this, something else I can do here is the text indent. Let's see how it works like this. Oh, this is too much. Let's see how it's like this. Oh, no, it was actually not enough. I think this is perfect. And let's also change the color here. Make it white. Set also a text shadow. Okay, so this does it, looks nice. Now the next thing I want is to set another gradient here. So this is just for the content box, and I'll be having another one which is going to be for the border box. So linear gradient, let's see how it works. Let's make sure we have a clear line. Okay, we're going to have an angle, so shadow angle. This is not going to work. Okay, let's say it's going to be, so it's going to be its complementary. We'll see with what sign. Okay, the other way around. And I need to reverse these. So this is going to be transparent, and this other one is going to be black. So as you can see, my gradient starts black in that corner, and okay, that's good. Now I'll be needing to do something for the padding in the other departments as well. So it's going to be my full okay, let's remove this so the abrupt stops so you can see stuff better. Okay, now we have that thing at the bottom. And what we'll have, and it's going to be pretty much the same thing except along the other axis at the bottom. So this is not going to be X, it's going to be Y, and I'm going to add that inner offset. Okay, this is looking like something. That's good. Okay, now something else I want to do is add a clipping path. And I'll be doing the same as with that mask, because Safari still needs the prefix. So points, and here I'll have a list of points, and here I'll have clip path. Now Chrome and Firefox support this unprefixed. Safari is another story. So unless that has changed recently, so do check that, because I haven't checked recently. But last I remember, Safari still needed the WebKit version. So mobile browsers still needed anyway. So yeah, that's why it's more convenient to use a custom property. And I start from the corner 0, 0. Then the next point that I have is going to be the rounding radius. No, actually it's going to be the base width minus this, okay, plus the offset, horizontal offset, and it's going to be minus the vertical offset. So this is my second point. Okay. Oh, this, yeah, that's why it didn't work. Because it was supposed to clip everything out. And I got worried because it didn't work at all. And yeah, that's good. We're not seeing anything, and that's what it's supposed to happen at this state. So now that I've done this, I need to, from that point, I go to 100%, and this vertically is going to be this plus the outer. And I should have something, yes. Now the next one is going to be in the corner. So 100%, okay. It's starting to look like something again. Now the next one, it's going to be pretty much these reversed. So this is going to use the horizontal offset, and this other one except along the other axis. So that's going to be the base height minus the vertical offset there. Okay, that looks perfect. And now I can go back to the after, take this out. Okay, this looks great, I think. Let's get back to it. It's actually working perfect. I don't know, it looks a bit weird without that thing. But what I'll be doing, let's set a filter here. So filter, drop shadow, this is going to be too much. Let's do something like RGBA. This is too much. Let's also not use black there, right here I mean, and do something like this. Okay, this should be working nicely. I hope I got stuff right. Okay. Okay, now one more thing I want to do is add that shadow inside. So this is going to be a radial gradient. And again, it's going to be content box. Circle at 100%, and this is going to be byte y minus the inner offset. Okay. Transparent calc the byte radius, which I need to interpolate right here, minus something like this. Let's see how that works. Okay, this is not perfect, but we'll be fixing it a bit. Let's see about this. Let's offset it a bit more. So this is too much. Okay, and that's too exaggerated, so I'll be using something like this. Instead of going fully dark, let's have something like this. This looks perfect. So yeah, I think I'll just be leaving it at this. I don't think I've missed anything so far. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you want me to be able to do more stuff in the future, please consider supporting my work. Donations are suspended for now, but you can still make this kitty very happy by getting her something off her Amazon wishlist. The links are in the description. Or you can at least contribute towards the cross-browser implementation of the stuff used in this article, because at this point ClipPath is not supported in Edge, and there are a few other things that aren't supported in Edge. There will be links in the description, and you can vote, because your votes do matter when it comes to making the Edge people decide for implementation. Or you can at least share this to show the world what can be done with CSS these days, because honestly, I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching.